Hey, what's up? This is flexalexander, and welcome to the Flex Zone All In podcast. My co-host in the building,
Boudreaux Buddy Lewis.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Kennelia. Come on, buddy.
Listen.
You don't like my Lewis. You don't like my grandiose
I don't
introduction.
know who Boudreaux is.
Awesome.
Yeah, buddy.
Is it French?
Today we have someone I think is, along with Kennelia, there's a crew of these amazing Black female comics that I think, and writers that need more shine. And, I did a show with this young lady, and I was like, yo, she's brilliant. She's a dope writer. Had to have her on the show. She's a little mad at me right now because ain't no food and stuff. But ladies and gentlemen, y'all give it up for Miss Amberia Allen in the building. Now, Amber, you hold a bunch of titles. Stand-up comic, writer, and am I correct in saying PhD?
You are.
She's a doctor.
Woo,
Yes.
doctor.
Allen.
I can't stand none of y'all.
Now, what kind of doctor are you? Doctor.
Not one that makes enough money, but doctor of sociology. So I have a PhD in sociology. Yeah. Look at Buddy. Look at Buddy's face.
That's doctor.
Hey,
Buddy's the Boudreaux, so he formally is more senior than I, by royalty standards. But yeah.
But you still have that PhD stat. Listen,
I do.
Jerry Buss was not a medical doctor, but that man had a PhD and he was a doctor. So
Neither was Dr. J or Dr. Dre. So,
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Buddy, for all points of clarification.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate it.
But you a doctor.
She's a doctor. And not only that, amazing writer. She has written on shows like Real Husbands of Hollywood, The Wonder Years,
The Last OG.
The Last OG. I mean,
The Oscars, the Emmys,
Oscars,
blah,
the
blah,
Emmys.
blah.
Come on,
Just everything,
Buddy.
man.
Come on, Boudreaux.
This is historic. Listen, we don't get to usually say all those titles. You know what I mean? And I think that's a great thing. And I think it's great because Black women need to be celebrated more and get their flowers.
Yes, celebrated more, Buddy. You
Yeah.
staring daggers over here.
See, your buddy is.
Oh, no, it's not. No,
He just got out.
I'm enamored
That's
with your titles and accolades.
Thank
That's
you,
all.
buddy.
And then I look at you and I go, Amber, she does have all that shit.
you be
Mhm.
forgetting.
Yeah, I be forgetting.
You
Like,
be
oh
forgetting.
damn, it's just because I was like, Amber, yeah, I
Yeah,
know
that's
her.
Amberia.
But then I go, oh damn, that's right.
She about something.
She about
She's
something.
She trying. She out here doing her
out here
best.
You know what
doing
I'm
these
saying?
things.
About
I'm
it,
trying.
about it.
Streets.
Got to come. Now you doing it. Like I said, got the chance to perform with you at the Ontario
Yeah.
Improv, which was an amazing show, which was one of my first show back again. I've had
Yeah.
I'm like Michael Jordan. I've had 5 retirements. I keep coming back. And this time it's going to be the last one for real. But I watched you and I was like, man, she's like, Chris was like, yo, she's dope. I was like, yo, like I'm all about material and wittiness and just things that, make you think. And I was telling Kennelia, herself, you, Zainab Johnson,
Yeah.
you guys to me, that would be a dope tour right there. I'm just throwing that out there. But you guys to me are cutting edge and should be celebrated more.
Yeah. You know what? There's a lot of women in comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mhm.
it doesn't seem like a lot because I was telling Flex this. We're all spread out. There's
Yeah.
so many men. When you go to one show, it'd be a damn sausage fest.
Yeah.
There's one woman, maybe.
Yeah.
And there may be that woman may be a white woman.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes you get a show where it's 2 Black women and you're like, oh shoot, it's a Black show.
Right.
But it ain't.
Yeah.
But that's just because we're all spread out. Some people be on the road traveling. Some people are working. Some people, kicking it. Some have families, so they're at the house. It just
Yeah.
depends. But when we're all in one place, then, it's a good time.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen it. I haven't seen that because when you go back in the history and you look at Black female comics, you look at like Marsha Warfield, people like that. It was like only one for a certain amount of time.
Mhm.
Wanda Sykes, it was one for a certain amount of time. But
Moms
you,
Yeah.
Mabley.
in Moms Mabley, you go all the way back. But then, the other comics you have, Fran Dreschers and the,
Roseanne's. You go
Roseanne's
through all of
and it's
Ellen.
like, and it's Ellen, and it's several, and it's like we got to wait this gap to find that next one. Now, currently you're out with David Arnold,
Yeah.
who is also a genius. But I know you out there holding your own. How's that going?
It's great. It's great. I think to, what we were just discussing, you don't see a lot of Black women on stages often because it's hard to get stage time.
Mhm.
Right. So we're spread out and we're working, but you're often the only one on the lineup, and that set that you do has to be, you got to represent for the women, or all women are not funny, or what is your material? Are you doing Black women comedy? Are you talking about this or that? So there is a different kind of pressure, and it is difficult to get not only just on stage, but you want to be a regular at a club. Like Kennelia, every time I see a flyer with Kennelia, I know she's doing good because there's a lot of white boys on the flyer. I judge your success by the number of white boys that's on your flyer. I'm like, she is doing it. I still got a bunch of niggas on my flyer.
Don't get it twisted though. I be phoning in it. But like when you talk about pressure, somebody, I forget who it was on social media. Maybe Keon, one of our comedy colleagues. He was saying, for women, do we feel pressure? Do you feel like the pressure for us is, if I don't do good, they won't think Black women aren't good? Or is it more like pressure for Black people? Like, I want to represent for my folks.
Yeah, I don't feel like there's pressure or that there's a stereotype that Black men aren't funny. So I feel like the stereotype is that women aren't funny, and that Black women in particular do comedy a particular way. So it's like the pressure I feel, or I used to feel more when I first started, was, oh, she's not funny for all these number of reasons. She cute. She got a PhD. What the fuck is she doing here? She's not funny. She's not serious. And then it was like, oh, women aren't, you carry its layers of things, like women aren't funny, or you're the girl on the lineup. Or if there's I did a show at Long Beach Laugh Factory last weekend, and the host is a woman, and then I went up, and it was like, it's not a ladies show. Everybody calm down. Like, and I'm like, she talked about being married, and I talked about being married, and it was like, do you know the number of shows where we sit through 8 comics talking about how they hate their wife and we not fucking and these all of the dicks, and it's like it's the same material with a different flavor, and it's fine. But when we do it, it's like, you guys all just talk about breakups and periods and blah blah women's issues. So I feel like it's that. But I don't feel like I got to represent Black people.
I'm going to tell you what it is with you and Kennelia.
Oh, gosh.
The problem is you're both fine as fuck. And you're
That's
cute.
a problem. Yes.
And
I
so
gotta do with anything.
I'm going to tell you what it has to do with.
I'm going to tell you what it is. That's a real good point, because
all the dudes in the audience are trying to fuck you, and all the women are mad because you're cute.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So what ends up happening is you're funny, and you're taking the attention away from like the dude they sitting with. They're sitting there going, "Oh, she's not only cute, she's funny." Huh? That's a real thing in the club, And I think, not to say that, I think that's changing, because there's so many of you guys now that are coming to the forefront.
Pioneers.
No,
we are trailblazers.
No, but I mean, because
cute bitch pioneers.
Yeah,
blazing the trail.
I
just did my nails and like now.
And I say this, and I'm not trying to be misogynistic or anything here, but
you don't have to try.
Okay. The reality is, a lot of women, like you said, have been stereotypically have looks and have things about Black. There's this stereotypical look that like, if you're gospel singer, you got to be swole and thick. It's this thing,
Yes.
And so I think that sometimes, as I watch, especially the women who are doing it right now, y'all have there's a real smart lane for women like Kennelia and Alicia Cooper and all these women that just they do smart, relevant
See how
stuff.
he took you out of that group. He said,
and Amberia.
Yeah, that was.
And Amberia, I mean, I'm just saying.
Remember, you were like, I'm not trying to be misogynistic, and then you
then I say something.
Then he called you Amberia.
I know. It's like, wow.
Y'all are very smart. Y'all are very smart and beautiful women on stage, and that's like a thing now that wasn't before, because like I used to work with Angie Means, and she was gorgeous, and I was like, she's like, what's wrong? I'm like, Ange, you got to understand what's happening in the room. There's all these beef eating, pork finger licking chicks out in the audience, mad that they looking at this model on stage, and it's kind of hard, sometimes. So you just got to keep fighting through that.
It depends on your who you talking to on stage.
Right.
Because every comic, regardless of if you're Amberia, me, Zaynab, Pretty Ricky, it don't matter. You all you have your own battle to fight with the crowd.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Some people's battle is, yes, you're extremely beautiful for some people. So now the woman might be a little salty if her boyfriend laughing or her husband laughing too hard. Maybe the girl gonna be like, "Oh, where is she funny?" But if whatever your aim is, talk to that audience. Me, I talk to single women and women who sick of their boyfriend or they're just doing their own thing.
And
right, and then, dude, I have some dude material.
You forgot the other thing.
What's that?
Yeah.
The sugar daddy.
You know what? But every
in your daddy tank, sugar in your daddy tank.
Kennelia has a sugar daddy thing.
I have a father at the house. I don't need no sugar dad. But so, Amberia, who do you feel like you talk to on stage? Like, who is your target audience?
I'm talking to me on stage. Like, I do comedy for me and what I think is funny. And I think that was key for me. Because in the beginning, it was all those things. It's not just how the audience receives you in terms of like my boyfriend or a competitive thing. Sometimes it's like, bitch, you're pretty. You're not supposed to be funny. So I can't even hear what you're saying because of all the reasons why pretty people have to navigate any other workspace differently because of attractiveness. When you're pretty, you're not supposed to be funny. Comics are supposed to look funny and sound funny, and the funniest people are people who look funny.
Right.
So when you're pretty, it's like, what you doing up here? Go do pretty things. Go do something else. Don't come into our space. And that's other comics also. What are you doing in here? Go do something else. So I think there's that. And so for me, it was like, well, how do I disarm and this and fine? And I was just like, fuck it. You got to just be you and do you, and the people will come.
Yeah.
Because I was like, if you listen to me, I'm talking about trauma and I'm talking about things I think are relatable, my family, being married or not. And if I'm talking about a PhD, I'm never ever talking about it as like, oh, my doctorate. It's never that. It was always
do that voice again. That's good.
You all right, buddy? You okay, buddy?
Did something.
No, it was just a very Harry Potterish.
It was never that. It was always like, I hate this system. Fuck these kids I'm teaching. I'm still poor. Like, this doesn't mean anything. Things we attach value to really don't have no value. But people can't hear it because the messenger. So I think once I started to get over that, and that's still a lesson. Like Kennelia was saying, every comic has the thing that they have to. So I feel like I'm doing a lot of self-talk. And I go, I think this is funny. But you do have to learn how to tailor things so that other people can hear them.
Yeah.